and welcome to Music Videos Never Die, a podcast about music videos. This week, we talked to director Maegan Houang about her 4 music videos for Mitski. In addition to being a music video director, Maegan is a writer for film and television. She's written for shows such as Shogun and The Sympathizer, and she talks about how she got into music videos and kind of how she got into film and television around the same time, which is unique and exciting. She talks about how music videos prepared her for the film and television world, why she continues to make music videos, and how she and most music video directors go broke every time they direct a music video. We also, as we probably will on many of these podcasts, talk about AI. The context of AI in this case is that Vimeo, a place where I used to work, sent an email recently to its users asking how they would feel if they trained an AI model on everybody's video. It's not surprising that an AI company would want to do such a thing. AI in video is almost exclusively horrifying looking. I have yet to see an example that I don't want to throw up after watching. And that is largely because there's not a lot of good data in which to train AI models on. And there is some good data on Vimeo in which to do such a thing. I think as someone who works there, there's a lot of not good stuff beneath the surface of the kind of Vimeo staff picks that people kind of maybe associate with what's on there. A lot of just weird user-generated stuff, short clips, weird porn, kind of a lot of strange stuff beneath the surface on Vimeo. So it's not only quality data, but it's a lot better data than what, Sora probably trained on, which is at best, stock footage, and at worst, stolen YouTube clips. And so, we talk a little bit about, both Luke and Maegan talk about how they, as directors and Vimeo users, would feel if their work got used to train an AI model. And that is something that we discussed a little bit on this podcast. And this is another podcast that we pre-recorded before we launched this podcast. And so it's a couple weeks old. That's going to be, only a theme through this episode. And then going forward, things are going to be a little bit more timely. But the great thing about this conversation with Maegan and her work is that it is timeless. And so even if you discover this podcast later on, which is very likely because it's an early episode of this podcast, this is still going to be a relevant conversation for anyone who's a fan of Mitski, anyone who is a music video director who wants to get into film and television, anyone who is a person who wants to get into music videos, and anyone who likes cool people talking about art, because that's what we do also. So I think you're ready. You have what you need to listen to this podcast. So please enjoy this interview with Maegan Houang. I'm curious how you found yourself in the music video community and how you got into music videos to begin with. I'd love to hear a little bit just about that.
Yeah, and how did I get into this? So someone I went to college with, who I'm also married to, but that's not necessarily relevant at the moment. He really wanted to do music videos. His name's Henry Kaplan, and we graduated, and he started doing music videos, and I was just helping him do them, and I was producing them with our friend Josh, and it just occurred to me that I could also probably direct one of my own. So I went to high school with the drummer Gretchen Grimm, who's in Chastity Belt, and I just asked her if I could do a video for one of their songs, and I just basically volunteered to do it for free and pay for it. And so I capped it at a really low budget because it's about a bunch of people who are on the Oregon Trail who get stranded and then turn into zombies and eat each other. I didn't know how I was going to make it, but Henry had befriended this guy who owned he's really awesome, and he just owns this big piece of land near Joshua Tree. And so I was just I can shoot on Kane's land. I just need to get a covered wagon. So I got a covered wagon and we made the video, and it ended up doing pretty well. And so then I kind of used that to leverage and get other projects where I didn't have to pay for it anymore. But that's basically how I got into it. It's first by producing stuff and then just doing it on my own.
And you do work, you continue to do music video work at all sorts of scales, but the spirit you're describing in that video feels present in a lot of the work that you do now.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty crazy. I think our budget was $2,500, and I was guys, you can share a hotel room with 5 people in Joshua Tree, or you can camp with me. out in the desert. And so I was camping, and a couple of the actors camped, and some other people on the crew. And so that's kind of how we made it, which is a very indie spirit. I'm pretty sure we paid for the hotel rooms with my credit card points. I asked my dad for some of his credit card points. That's also how we rented a van for the producer, who's one of my really good friends who went to Wesleyan. We rented a van with my dad's credit card points that she drove everyone out in. It was very like scrappy, whatever we can do, get it done vibes.
Big shout out to credit card points. I heavily survive on credit card points.
I've definitely used credit card points for music videos before.
I use them all the time right now.
I use them to like fly myself, a DP, and a producer out to New York for a like 2K music video.
Yeah.
Like how else are you gonna do it?
There's no other way.
For it.
Maegan, you do a lot of work in music videos, but also in film and television. Did it feel like a transition? Did it feel like an expansion? Like, what did it feel like, moving into, expanding into both of those worlds?
It's pretty simultaneous. So when I moved to Los Angeles, I did some internships like any other poor college graduate who doesn't know what they're doing. And then I eventually got a job as an assistant at Media Rights Capital and Business Affairs, which isn't what I wanted to work in, but I graduated during the recession, so it was just felt like any job was a good job. And so I was basically doing the producing music video stuff, directing music video stuff on weekends in my free time. And so it's always kind of been something I've been doing at the same time. And while I worked at MRC, it became pretty clear to me that, well, first, it was very obvious to me if I wanted to be a director, nobody's going to give me a script to direct. But I didn't go to school for screenwriting. I have a master's in film history, not in filmmaking. And so I was just like, and for that, I literally wrote basically a 200-page book about Johnny To, the Hong Kong director. But I'd never written a script. I didn't have experience writing dramatically. So I thought, okay, I don't want to go to grad school because it's so expensive. And so I don't know, it just felt like I could spend way less money and make more things. But I also felt really cognizant of the fact that like I need to learn how to become a better writer. So while I was at MRC, I started targeting how can I get a job on a show as a writer's assistant, because that feels kind of like going to grad school but getting paid. But at the same time, I was still directing music videos and doing other projects. So it's always been kind of simultaneous for me, which is why I also haven't directed that many music videos. I'd say my average is probably one a year, simply because I'm almost always have a full-time job in addition to directing music videos, because very few of us, if any of us, have ever made a living off of directing music videos. So they're sort of the same to me, but I think they fed into each other in a nice way.
Do you feel like you identify more with either type of work or either community, film and TV or music video?
No, I think that it's really easy for people to want to create categories where you're either a writer or you're a director or you're a music video director or you're a commercial director or you're a film director or you're a music video director.
But you can't be more than one.
Yeah, and to me they're all the same because they're all different kinds of filmmaking. Mm-hmm. And I'm lucky because the first show I worked on was for Justin Marks on Counterpart. I started as his assistant and the writer's assistant, and he's very adamant about what he calls directing on the page. And that's just to create like tonal unity across a season because we have so many different directors. And it's not like they do everything we write down, but it just makes it even more similar, where there are moments where I'm working on a script that isn't that different from necessarily writing a treatment for a music video, where I'm trying to express with words visually what I think should be accomplished to like create the emotional tone of the scene. And so to me, they're very unified and they all sort of play into each other in different ways. I also think short form storytelling is a lot harder than long form storytelling, actually. And so I think if you can master communicating emotion, feeling, character, and all those things in less than 3 minutes, less than a minute, I don't know, whatever it is, less than 10 minutes, it's actually a lot harder in a way than doing it in long form. What's hard in long form is keeping someone's attention, but it's not that hard to grip someone because I think all of us watching any TV show, any movie, we give it at least 20 minutes before we bail.
Like, what are some of the challenges you feel like you've faced, like, because music videos are not necessarily like viewed as the same thing in some of these other spaces?
The biggest challenge that I found most frustrating is that I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I'm not even sure, I was applying to every independent filmmaking lab. And I was told by multiple people, well, we're not sure you can direct actors because you only do music videos. We're not sure you can do story because you direct music videos. And I found it pretty offensive because I was directing the actors and I was telling stories, and if anyone's watched my music videos, especially the early ones, they're really narrative. They really were just an excuse for me to make short films. And so that just felt crazy that that's kind of the assumption that they were making. And then it was like, we're not sure you can like write, like work with dialogue. And I'm thinking in my head, well, I work on a 10 episode television show that's mostly dialogue, so I don't really know what you mean, but okay. And you can try to write that in an essay, but I think the bias that we as music video directors have no idea what we're doing when it comes to storytelling is really strong, and something that we sort of have to overcome, despite the fact that we have so many examples of people who are music video directors who are incredible storytellers, like, I don't know, Hiro Murai, Oscar winners Daniels. Like, it's very silly. David Fincher, Michael Bay. Like, you might not like Michael Bay's movies.
Like,
Jonathan Glazer.
People,
like,
there's so many great music video directors who tell stories.
It's ridiculous because we're, again, I'm just sorry, I rant, so you guys will never talk.
No,
But,
no,
like,
no.
You're good.
I think
No,
that's
it's like
what
what we were
podcasts-
saying
Yeah.
earlier. It's like people like labels, people like only putting you in one label, and there being no way you can have more than one talent or
Yes.
skill or identity. And yeah, this is a part of that. It results in this like broad stroke, like, oh, music video people can't do storytelling, commercial people can't do storytelling. If you're not a feature film director, then you're not able to do a feature film.
It also sounds like people not doing the work. Like if anyone looked at your work and saw your work, they could not come away with the thought that you aren't like equipped to be a storyteller or that you haven't done that already. I think it's just the box. Like people are just like not actually watching.
They hear music video director and they're like, oh, you do
a performance video.
Exactly. You don't tell stories. There's only one thing a music video can be. And so
Yeah.
it's also a bias on what music videos are in addition to what the directors are.
So why do you keep doing them?
Oh, I'm just sick. I'm sick. I'm mentally ill. But I will say the mental illness is also a point for why executives should have more faith in us, which is that only crazy people do music videos. And we basically self-flagellate till the end of time for passion.
It's a passion
for
thing.
art because we really want to do it. And I guarantee that any music video director that does that would do that on a movie, on a television show. Like,
to the power of 10.
yeah,
you know?
like we are the most equipped to kind of go ape shit on a project with nothing.
Hell yeah.
And I think it's like strange that we get excluded, like that's not even thought about. It's no one's doing a music well, no, that's not true. I'm not going to generalize. Very few people who do it over and over again are doing a music video casually. It's not a casual hobby. It's a life consuming, my house is overrun with props that I had to buy and return from somewhere. Like everything's a mess because I'm just trying to make it work on a budget. And that energy, like I don't know how not to put that into something. So to me, I'm just like, we're the most under-resourced part of the business where we should be put into every program because no one is really more insane and mentally ill than we are in a way that we're so easy to be exploited. Like like we're the most easily exploitable part of the business.
Not every video, but almost all of them require some level of self-sacrifice, which in a way is exploitation.
It is.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know if I've done 300 music videos.
Oh my God.
In one way or another.
Yeah.
And at every budget level, 3,000 to 300,000, and every single one of them required like 1,000 favors.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When
It just
the scale
scales.
goes
It
up,
just
so
scales.
it's
Yeah,
like,
you can
so
have a
do the
$3 million
favors.
video and you're still going to be calling
Nobody,
it a favor.
I mean,
you know?
somebody out there makes money on music videos. Nobody is in the room.
There's like maybe 3.
Yeah, right.
Maybe three people.
And they're all like, you know, they have money from other places too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your most recent video, Mitski Star music video. This is your 4th video with Mitski. I wonder if we can go back and just talk about your history with her. How did you guys start working together? And, you know, to tell that story a little bit.
Yeah. So we started working together because, like any mentally ill young music video director, I was cold emailing artists nonstop. And so I basically had 2 videos to my name, and I cold emailed her manager and I said, I really love Mitski's music. It was after Bury Me at Makeout Creek. If she ever needs a video, I'm basically down to do it for free. Desperation.
Yeah.
And he was like, she doesn't really need a video right now, but my other artist, Skylar Spence, does. Do you want to pitch on that? And I did, and I got it. And I mean, saying got it is such a funny thing. It's like, I did it for
You
them.
got it. You
And-
pitched.
no,
and
but I more
they
mean
were
like,
do it.
I got it, but also like I did them a huge favor by doing
Sure,
this like
sure.
crazy awesome video for no money, right?
Yeah.
I just mean that I think it's
I mean,
helpful
we're doing
to change
everybody
the
favors.
language
Yeah.
of like I am so honored.
But did you do it in hopes that it would help establish the Mitski relationship, or were you just like, hey, this is not who I emailed for, but like sick, I get to make something?
Oh, I was just like, this is so sick. I get to make something. And they were really down with my idea, which is that this like gang comes into a nail salon and then they turn into like finger people and dance. And I was like,
100%.
cool, they're going to let
Yeah,
me do that. That's fun.
Obviously a genius
So I was just
idea.
really excited.
Right.
And then I found out that, her manager at the time had sent it to Mitski and she liked it. And then she asked me if I wanted to do a video. And I think we have a great working relationship because even from that moment, she sort of pitched me a video for Happy that was very much in line with the lyrics of the song. And I didn't really want to make that video, so I told her, I said, look, like, how about I just pitch you an idea? And if you don't like it, like, I don't have to do it. Like, let me just tell you what I want to do. Cause it was like going to be no money again. The budget for that video for Happy was $3,000. So she's like, cool, sounds good. And then I pitched her the idea and she's like, I love it. And then I just did it. And it was the kind of thing where I was like, can you fly out? She's like, I can't fly out. I don't have any money. So I'm like, great. I'm just going to make this weird narrative video that I want to do. And I kind of just, as you do, mortgaged my life for the entire project. It was a period piece set in the 1950s, 60s era. And so every single weekend I would go to an estate sale in LA and look for stuff to buy really cheap. I made deals with different vintage furniture shops around Los Angeles where we could like borrow their furniture but not have to buy it. Just all sorts of crazy things that I was doing to help the production designer execute this vision. We shot in my house. The producers and I were painting my house constantly. We painting it the color that we needed, painting it back. Like it was very DIY and in the best sense. And
how long did you spend on this whole process? How long did it all take?
I'm really into prep, so I probably spent 8 weeks prepping the video.
Awesome.
And I was also working as an assistant at that time, so it's like I need those weekends to prep. And then we shot over 2 weekends, which is something you can only do when you are using your house.
Yeah, and like,
So,
it's
yeah.
like on a homey vibe. Like,
Totally,
it's not like
totally.
you don't have label people coming over, you
No.
know, and nothing like that. You know, you're able to treat it like it is a true passion project.
And the actors really wanted to do it and be there, and so
Yeah.
they were also happy to come. And that's kind of how we made it. And then she really loves the video, so that kind of started our working relationship, I think, to keep working together in the long run. Like she wanted me to do a video for Be the Cowboy, and I just wasn't available because I was doing Counterpart. But it was nice that she reached out again for Laurel Hell. So it's just kind of that's kind of how it works. And I think we're just friends.
So from there, you guys have continued to work together.
Has it been similar vibes of like you're able to, just pitch ideas and then she's down, or like has it been a different type of collaboration since then?
Yeah, it depends on the video. She usually like for Stay Soft, she reached out to me really early, which was awesome, and I love that because I'm pretty honest that because I have this whole other career as like a television writer, I need a lot of time to do things well. And so I think what she told me for that is that she wanted there to be dance. And so like I was like, okay, cool. And then for The Only Heartbreaker, she just said that she wanted, she didn't actually bring anything to me. And then for Star, she actually wanted me to pitch on a different song, and she had a pretty clear idea about it. And I was just having a hard time imagining how I would pull it off well. So I pitched the idea for Star, and then she said, I think that actually works better for a different song. Why don't you do that video? So I think like that's what's nice about it is that I don't think either of us feel any pressure or anything to force the other one to do something they don't want to do or doesn't feel right. And that's really important to me as a creative person, because I just really think you can kind of solve anything through discussion and talking, and just
and that's
listening.
what collaborating is.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
better than like just being sent a brief saying like, this is what the video needs to be. It's like, then what are you hitting me up for?
Totally.
Like, I need to put my spin on it. You need to do your own thing. So it's cool that, she gives you that freedom.
I also think the best videos often do come from the director interpreting the song and doing something really authentic to them, rather than trying to interpret the artist's interpretation for them. Because at the end of the day, it's like we're putting all of our sweat and passion into it, and it's gonna just feel more authentic if it's coming from us. That's why, and I think that's why so many of her videos are so good, because I think a lot of the directors, especially like Zia Anger and Christopher Good, were also given that chance to do that, where they're really expressing themselves when they make those videos. And that's why the videos are so good. And the commonality between them all is totally an accident, but it's also not an accident, because Mitski is an artist with such a strong point of view and vision that we're all grabbing onto something there that creates unity, despite the fact that we're three different people doing our own ideas, which makes it really cool to see all of them come together.
Do you see a unity across the videos that you've done for Mitski, or a through line?
I'm sure there is one. I think I'm like resistant as a creative person to navel gaze at my own work a bit. Like, sure. I find that tendency to kind of think about like, I think about what I'm feeling in the moment and what I want to express, but I sort of think that's for other people to analyze. And I think sometimes when we try to self-analyze that too much, it creates like a sense of egotistical narcissism in our own work that we're trying to recreate or redo. So it's just my own thing where I actually just don't answer those questions.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, super fair.
I think it's like a dangerous path on which we send directors sometimes.
But you're not, it wasn't something deliberate. You weren't trying to do that.
No. And I think that's actually important. And I think more creative people should be more like, I don't want to repeat myself. I definitely try not to repeat myself, but I'm not seeking to create unity, because to me, the unity is me and her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to overthink this.
Yeah, totally.
And I also think that, I know that I'm interested in certain themes now, but I want to be open-minded as I age and the world changes and I get more different types of life experience, that the things I'm interested will inevitably shift while also probably stay the same.
Yeah, that's growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, what we want to do. You don't want to be stagnant. You don't want to just make the same thing every time.
No.
That's great.
Mitski is somebody who, she has a very strong and loyal fan base that almost feel like they have like expectations. All fans have expectations probably.
Yeah.
And, and want something probably more from an artist. But like, it feels really present in Mitski's fans. Is that something that you're conscious of, like just her fans, and something that you're like considerate of in the process?
I think of myself as a mega Mitski fan. So when I'm trying to pitch something, I just think, what do I want to see as a fan? Because I don't know what anyone else thinks really but me. Totally. And then beyond that, in marketing or talking about the project, I do really try to respect her privacy as much as possible, because I think that's the only part of fandom that like I don't really want anything to do with, which is, breaking her trust, but also just letting her have a life that's not just being a very popular artist.
Sure.
But that's kind of the extent of it. I really just think like, what do I want to see? And then all of the stuff that, I just am very conscious of like what we share on the internet and like what I talk about when it is regards to her life, because she's honestly one of the most lovely people I've ever worked with, and I value our friendship and collaboration so much. I just, I want to respect her privacy.
Totally.
Do you read YouTube comments?
I do sometimes for fun. I don't know, like, do people not? I think it's funny to read.
I mean,
them.
no, I definitely do. I for sure do. But like, I don't know. I feel like some people will get on a high horse like, no, I don't want to know what anyone's like. I'm good.
Oh.
Like,
I mean, the YouTube comments now are just like, love you, Mitski.
I love it.
They're
Yeah,
so
it's
boring.
like mom,
it's usually pretty safe. It's a lot of slay. It's a lot of mommy. It's a lot of that vibe. But it's fun to check it out. I mean, sometimes there's always gonna be that one little nugget comment where someone's written an essay and it's like, oh hell yeah, like this is what we're here for.
I'm always curious what people think. I think the key is just not to take it too seriously.
Definitely.
On a Hanavu video I did recently, there's a comment that was like, this is like trash basically, and I was like, okay. That's cool.
It's kind of nice to get that. It's like a little humble moment, like cool. Like,
it's more just like, that's cool that you think that, man. Like not everything's for you, you know, like
totally.
It's for different people. That's good.
Mitski videos though, they get reaction videos. They get like people writing college essays about them. Have people reached out to you to cite as a citation in their college essays?
I think that that's actually something that I was really proud of, is that a Smith student back in 2017 or 2018 reached out to me to interview me to write an essay about the Happy video. And I think that was a great moment, because I made the video for people who are like me, who are younger, who didn't have content where they could be seen. You know, I really try to approach all my work of what do I feel like I needed or still need as a person, because again, I do really think the best art's really personal, and for it to reach a lot of younger people than me, and for that video to mean a lot to other people who are younger than me that are similar to me, that does mean a lot. And I think it's something I really value, and I'm proud that people enjoy the video that much and like want to write papers about it. Like, it's very sweet, and it just makes me feel like I accomplished what I set out to do, which is a nice feeling.
Did you read the essay?
Yeah, I always ask for them to send it to me.
That's fun. Like the ultimate YouTube comment.
Yeah, totally.
Would you have given it an A?
Yeah, I compared the Happy video to M Butterfly. It was a great paper.
That sounds great.
I've also talked.
I want to read that paper.
Yeah, it's
we'll
great.
hunt it down, put it in the show notes.
And now that person is
a
really successful writer. They're a journalist.
That's not a surprise. You
It's
know
really
what I mean?
cool,
yeah,
though.
no, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
No, that's really
like,
sick.
It really is. It's just like it feels almost like not real.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
totally.
Because like of all of the things that you talked about earlier on, how like, you know, music videos are the like stepchild of the, you know, like, I mean, literally, like,
we're not taken as seriously
No,
by
I mean,
people within the industry.
Yeah, I
even.
mean, the whole point of this podcast is to try to like emphasize music videos as an art form and to kind of like look at it in a critical lens, because not anybody's really doing that. And because it's like, even like Film LA, you know, it has different sections of, you know, that's like, this was a film and television shoot, this was a commercial shoot. Music videos get clumped into with student films. So it's like, this is the other section, which is music videos, student films.
Do you think that's because they're like acknowledging the trend of not having budgets, and like, or is it?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Like they know that music videos don't have
lack
budgets.
of unionization, lack of budgets, like lack of like. It
like,
is
is that
a
Film
lot more.
LA trying to throw us a bone?
I would never think Film LA is trying to throw anybody a bone.
They've thrown me a bone before.
Okay.
I'll say that, like, I've gone into their office saying like, hey, I need a permit, and they just gave it to me right there.
That's awesome.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, but have you ever gone to their office?
No.
There you go.
I've never gone into anybody's
Face to
office.
face.
Face to face makes a diff.
See, I just want to say that this is the test of a real music video director. So desperate for a permit that he will even go into the office to try to get one for free, because that's how badly you want to do the project.
That's the passion right there.
That's why you should hire us.
But the spirit is like, it is more of a like student film, or like short, like self-funded short film that you just like, you put everything into. I saw an American movie for the first time like last month or whatever, and
incredible
that
film.
type of
Incredible
thing where it
film.
just like takes over your whole life. Your parents know about it. Your like grandma is in it. You know, everything.
Your whole town, your whole community
totally
gets involved.
So so I want to talk a little bit about the Star video specifically. It takes place on a boat. I want to and on a lake. I want to start by asking top 5 worst things about shooting on a lake.
It's all kind of bad.
I have a lot too as a producer of this
I feel
video.
like you would probably have a more concise list than me, because I think I probably blocked
What if we
out.
get number 1 from you?
I'm trying to think what I would think is the worst part.
I will start with one.
Shooting on water sucks.
I'll lead us in with one, is that the options are very limited.
Yeah. Options are super
Can I
limited.
ask where you shot?
On this ranch that has basically a pond that we kind of faked as a giant lake.
Oh, that's sick.
So-
I thought it was a lake.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay,
more.
okay.
I would call it. I generously refer to it as a pond.
So it's not even full pond.
I mean, it's like a mini lake.
It's
maybe.
a little body of water
It's
on
a small
someone's
body
ranch.
of water on a ranch.
Well, you made it look big.
Yeah, no, that our producer John Lozada knew about the location, and we have to really credit him for that vision of doing that instead of like a tank or something.
We considered it all.
I think just the safety precautions are very stressful. I just never want anyone to get hurt. The water was very smelly and gross, and so it's like you really don't want to fall
cold?
into
What
it.
time of year were you shooting?
It was June, but it was also so it wasn't cold during the day, but it was really cold at night, and we shot at night. So like we designed, the costume designer Sahida Silva and I just told them like Mitski has to be able to wear a wetsuit under this costume.
Amazing.
And so just please make it so that that's possible for her. And that was because like she could fall in. We were going to put her in water at some point, and just like thinking those things through, that, you're just always prioritizing safety and also comfort for performance.
For sure, yeah.
Like if Mitski is cold, she's not going to do a good job performing.
No, you got to make them comfortable. For
So
sure.
it was cold. And then, just like you get those, I don't know if you have this as like a fear when you're directing something where you're like, what if the light falls in the water and like she dies? Like,
Of
you're
course.
just so, like,
I've heard
I don't want
horrible
anyone
stories
to
like
die.
that. Oh my God, yeah.
So you just have
Anytime
all
you're
those
working with like
anxieties.
electricity and a body of water, you're gonna be thinking those things. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, you have to be the number one advocate for the artist. That's like part of why we're there, is making sure they're having a good time, are safe, and are in the best position to
And no one
perform.
else gets, and no one else gets hurt. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Maegan, it felt like you also needed to put yourself in. You needed to just match Mitski's comfort level at every point, because there was some points where Mitski had to go in the water, and then for some
you
reason
go in the
you're
water.
in the water too. Can you explain that a little bit?
Oh, well, when we were going to shoot the stuff underwater, the stand-in was like, I'm not going in the water.
I'm not gonna.
It's like, that's why you're
And
here.
I was like, I told the producers to get a stand-in so we can like set up the water.
That's what you're
shot.
getting paid for.
Literally your job.
I was like, okay. So I just went in the trailer and put on a wetsuit, and I was like, I'll be the stand-in, because I was not gonna have Mitski herself dunk herself underwater over and over again. It actually took us like 45 minutes to an hour to figure out how to do it.
Like being in the water.
Yeah, so it was
wow.
just me, and it's like a very psychotic Chris and Megan moment where it was just me and the DP Chris, and he's like, I'll do it again, like a little over here. Oh no, do it like this. And I was like, okay, this way. And I remember my friends who were there, like the production designer and the BTS photographer, Hannah Baker. So Terry and Hannah were just like, we looked pretty horrified the number of times Chris asked you to do it. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about it. Like, I was like, I'll do it all night. Like, I don't really care.
It was also 5 in the morning.
There's that passion again, you know?
It's just like, I wasn't
don't even think
upset at
about
all.
it.
And I think I did look over, and it was like Mitski, Terry, and Hannah all staring at me like, this is insane. I'm just like,
It sounds like you had a wetsuit though. That you were prepared for this already. That if there was a wetsuit that you
were
could
you
just-
also wetsuited up? Oh, okay.
So yeah, the stand-in didn't do it, but also you were good to go.
But like you had the
There were a
wetsuit
couple-
ready to
There were
go.
a couple moments. So then we also, early in the night, it was like, we need someone to go in the water to place a light. And then the guy who was supposed to do it was like, I don't want to go in the water. And so then I was like, fuck it. I went to the trailer, put the wetsuit on, came out. Chris was getting naked because he's like, I'll go in the water and do it. And Chris and I are like standing, like, we're ready to go in the water because like, we're here, we're crazy, we have to make this
Incredible.
work. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, we don't need to go in. So like I went back in, took the wetsuit off, and then Chris is like getting dressed again. And then I later on, when it was like the stand-in going, I was like, guess I'm putting the wetsuit on again because like I'm going to be going in the water, and like that's fine.
That's so funny.
But
5 in
yeah.
the morning, by the way.
Yeah,
This
it
is
was like
all
5.
This is all an overnight.
Yeah. Most shoots are worried about losing light. We were worried about gaining light
Yeah.
because we were shooting it overnight. And so this is so that's another reason why you having to do it 30 times was was not necessarily like
Yeah,
baked
everyone's
into our
like
plan.
delirious. That No
Yeah.
one slept. That sounds
But
great.
we were just in work mode. Like I don't even. It just feel like it felt like 5 seconds. You know, I was just like, we just have to make it work.
And also, you
100%.
saw the video, like that's what was being made, and so there was energy being created by like what we were all seeing on the
course.
monitor, getting excited about like the way the light would just subtly move across the water or whatever.
yeah.
Like that energy, people were tapping into that on the
Totally.
set for sure. And so, do you feel like in addition to kind of matching the artist's discomfort that like there's a responsibility to keep the crew rallied in a shoot like that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, if I'm not willing to go in the water, how can I ask other people to do it? I truly feel that way. Like, if I myself am not willing to do this really unpleasant, horrible thing, then, and everyone got paid on this video, but it's like, it's still just like, this is my passion project I'm asking you to do, in my head at least, that I'm like, I'm down. Like, if I'm gonna do it, then, you know, I think it says a lot, and I think that's an important message to communicate on anything that's like hard or low budget or whatever. Is just like, I'm very willing to do it, so you can, you know, if that's inspiring to you, but it's also fine for people to say no.
It's like how you build trust with everyone, and like you need that to pull off these ideas. You need to have the crew trust you, so that when you like have the ambitious thing and you need to do some crazy lighting thing, they are like, okay, this is worth it.
Totally. And fun. I think it makes it more fun if you trust each other and you're excited about the idea, and you see that we're visibly excited about the idea, you know, like, and it's not just me, it's like the department heads. Like, I really value the people I work with over and over again, because we all kind of go into everything with maximum commitment. And I think that gets everyone else excited to, you know, like the poor PA who's holding the fog machine the whole time, you know, like that's not a fun job.
No, it's not.
But it's like, we just make clear how essential that is to the vision of the project, because it is. And we appreciate that that person did that for 8 hours.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask, one of the questions I've been asking is, on this video, when you felt like the most capital D director, where you really were like, but it sounds like it's this. It sounds like it's like getting into the water like at 5 a.m, you know, but like, you know, did that feel like your David Fincher moment?
I don't know what that kind of moment is. Like, I don't think that's a feeling I get.
Okay. Okay. Why do you think that? Like,
I just don't think, like, I think maybe the most like director moment I could ever feel would just be feeling maximum focus. And so I suppose there are just moments or shots that we're doing that I'm paying such close attention to the monitor that I'm just like, that might be when I just feel the most like lost in the moment, for me, that's more when I'm like, this is working. I can feel it working in the monitor. It's working. This is great. Now, how can I make it even better? What's the small note I can give that makes it even better? Like, that's, I guess, when I feel the most like I'm a director, but it almost just feels more like an obsessive compulsion of like, it's really good, but we can be even better. Like, it's really good, but it can be even better. And so you're just amazing. Like, that's the exciting thing to me, is that you just feel like, God, it's all coming together and it's really working, and checking in with your gut of like, I feel that it works. I think that's the most important thing as a director or filmmaker, is that actually takes practice, which is why more people should do short form, more people should do music videos, all these things, because it really is a gut instinct. You have to train yourself to say, this feels right, we're good, we can move on. And then there's always the moments where you just have to move on because you don't have time and things went wrong. But like, you are striving for every single setup to have that gut moment where you're like, that's good, we can move on. And that's what's addictive about it, but also fun, and what we're all kind of like working toward, I guess. But I guess that's the most like, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really sit around being like, I'm a director or something. I don't know.
What are you doing for that? That's what it's all about, I think. No, I'm kidding. No. I mean, no, that makes sense. Do you feel like, because, it is like a big part, you know, of the director's decision making on set is like when you can move on. And I am observing a lot of directors on set doing this, and it does feel like they're looking for a specific thing and then they finally see it and then they can move on. But do you track that through to the edit? Like, do you know if the shot that
for sure
allowed you to move on is the one that's being used?
I'd say like the biggest fight that I got with Gus, who often edits for me. He's one of my closest friends, and the reason we work well together is because we argue a lot. So it sounds like we're contentious when I talk about it, but it's actually in a good way. Where he wanted to use a different first opening shot than I did. And I was like, why didn't you just use the one that I knew was right on set? Like, you know, I was just like, I don't understand. Like, we're doing this one. And he's like giving me his reasons. But it's just one of those things that I'm like, but I know which one we're using already. So why aren't you using it? And then he gives me his reasons and we argue about it. And like, that's his job, in my opinion, is to like see the things that I might be missing. And then I will always think about it. I spent a couple days like thinking about it, which one we should use. And we still did the one that I wanted to use, but then we did a little VFX to correct the things he didn't like about you know what I mean? Like I
find a
listened
compromise,
to his, like,
yeah.
compromise, and that's like what's fun with collaboration. But yeah, I think that's, yeah, you definitely know. And then also you see things you didn't see, of course. Like there's definitely things I've shot, like I've directed where I like don't really remember what we did just by the nature of rushing.
Yeah.
Like I've had to shoot, there's a scene in the last Hanavu video that I think we shot in 20 minutes because we ran out of time and we had to do like 7 setups. So I was like, okay, 2 takes, next setup, 2 takes. Because I knew that for that specific scene, being able to edit it was more important than the takes being perfect. So you just have to understand what you're compromising in the moment. And then there are other things where it's like, the take has to be perfect and I can do less setups. But you're just kind of like thinking about whatever your plan is in the moment.
What's everybody's go-to crafty craft?
I am a fruit snacks guy.
Welch's?
I don't really eat on set. I don't think I have one. Baby
That's
chips?
the only thing I eat on set. I like never eat whatever the meal is, if it's lunch, dinner, or breakfast. I specifically don't get hungry or like for whatever reason can't eat, but the fruit snacks.
I hear that a lot from directors that they don't eat on set. What do you think that's about?
I think it's just anxiety. I mean, you're just like holding everything in your mind, and it almost feels like eating's a distraction. I always make myself eat the lunch no matter how disgusting it looks to me. And it's not because like the food they brought is bad. It's just like food looks disgusting. And I think it's just anxiety. But over time, I've really tried to be really mindful of like, I have to take care of my body, even though mentally I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like I almost like mentally just want to be in this kind of like weird obsessive state, but I try to break out of it to be like, I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to eat whatever's kind of in front of me. And keep going and then like make myself sleep. That's the hardest thing for me is when you can't sleep.
I can't sleep after shoots. It's such an adrenaline rush. I'm up for like 24 hours after we wrap almost every single time. Yeah.
What do you do with that energy?
I mean, honestly, I just like dive into watching movies or like binging a show or like playing a video game or something. Like I don't try to force sleep. I'm like, well, if I have the energy, let's like ride the wave.
That's probably smarter. I just like lay in bed and I'm like, why can't I sleep?
I mean, like I might be like journaling or something. Depending on, there's been some shoots where like, you know, I come back and I'm just like brooding and I'm like, I need to do like a debrief. I'm like, that thing didn't work and like, here's what I'm gonna do next time or whatever. Like, and that's not all the time. It's only if there is something I like missed.
You know. Actually, Dan Kwan gave me some advice that I swear to God one day I will actually do because it's such a good piece of advice, which is he said that at the end of the day, like they write to the editor or to someone everything they shot and how they want it edited.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's such a good use of that surplus energy because you're communicating really clearly with the editor and you're not forgetting, because I have a tendency where I'm like, everything went wrong and I just want to put it in a box. Yeah. And I like just want to forget
I almost want to like not think about this as for 24 hours or something.
I'm just like, I don't want to like confront myself.
Yeah.
But I think that's really smart, especially on longer form stuff, because when I've done like things that are multi-day shoots, I mean, I really like start to lose because sometimes I don't sleep. And then you're really just going to the next day like,
that's when it gets
what
dangerous.
Are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, and that's when you just have to try to force yourself to sleep, but it's really hard. I need to practice that the next time I'm doing something, try to make myself not be anxious and self-loathing.
So I want to talk about a few news of the day items. I think also, you know, on the last podcast we had a conversation about generative AI and it's, you know, just the issue in general, how it, you know, is involved in music videos, but also just like in general, there has been conversations around it that the music video community have participated in. But then most recently, Luke, why don't you just like, you saw a little bit more of the update, the Vimeo update. What did you see?
So Vimeo sent out an email to Vimeo users asking the Vimeo community essentially respond to the question of like, how do you feel about Vimeo using all of your work to train AI? And, you know, they posed it as this like, hey, we care about our community. Here's a survey about if we can exploit all of your work and labor.
What's a real-time poll?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you're cool with this. If you're down to have your work. Yeah, right.
Yeah, no.
Kind of not the vibe. And I think this happens with the background that Vimeo just hired a new CEO that has a background at Google AI. That was where he was previously.
Wow.
And when I worked at Vimeo, like a CEO change is a very significant. I mean, it always is,
of
but
course,
like that top-down decision making, it really changes the course of the company in general. Mm-hmm. And when I was there and working there, the platform was for the filmmaking community, and it was, you know, that was the market.
Yeah.
And they pivoted that market and hired a new CEO at the same time. And so the fact that there's a new CEO,
but now there's a
his
new
background
CEO,
in AI, that this survey feels like not just, you know, a shot in the dark. So like, you know, what happens? Like, what's the first? Everyone takes their stuff off Vimeo. We feel like that would be.
Well, I mean, if it's an option to not have them do it, that's what I would select. And then
I guess I'd vote no.
Yeah, I'd vote no. And then if I can opt out, I would opt out. I think it's just an absurd ask when we pay for the platform.
Totally.
For them to then not pay us to use our data. So I don't know who would really agree to that in their right mind when they should be paying us, or the labels that paid for our video. I mean, that's going to be a whole other
it just opens up a can of worms.
It really does.
We don't even have that permission to give for music videos.
Exactly.
Like we, you know what I mean? And it's like music videos, you know, that's been the theme of this podcast. On Vimeo have also like existed in a kind of marginalized area.
Yep.
Because Vimeo has always kind of like tried to remove itself from any sort of conflict between labels and directors who direct music videos. And Vimeo like loves to have those that work on their platform and loves to like talk about it and showcase it and call it Vimeo content. But like the second a label gets involved, like Vimeo is aware of the dynamic and is just choosing to kind of like turn a blind eye to it. That is like even when the filmmaking community was the market, that was how they handled things. And so music videos like already can't. But I think that like, I wonder can we even trust if there's an opt-in, opt-out scenario that they're even going to follow that?
Yeah.
That opt-out. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm totally fine to just delete my account right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I actually haven't.
I'll ceremoniously do it. Right
I don't think I've actually uploaded any of my work in a serious way to Vimeo in like years. I think the only stuff I've been uploading have been like private links to cuts to get feedback. And even that's stopped since I've started using Frame.io.
Frame.io is a bit of a better platform. I still value the very tiny filmmaking community that exists on Vimeo. It feels very international at this point.
That's a good point.
But if they force me to have my works put into an AI machine so that they can figure out how to take away creativity and jobs, I would absolutely delete my account. That's not remotely worth it. It's actually disgusting.
What the hell does Vimeo even like? What's Vimeo AI gonna even be? You know what I mean?
Maybe they're just gonna sell it to Google. You know, like you know, like
they're gonna sell to labels, or I mean,
whoever,
that's what you know. What's
like, crazy
crazy is that music videos would be the first target for an AI software like that, which again just shows how important our work is, despite how disrespected it is at the same time.
It's funny because on the last podcast I argued that AI could swallow commercials way easier. Like the industry, you're probably right. The music video industry.
Yeah, I mean the industry.
But like, you know, because music videos have the ability to inherently be an art form that is separate from making money, that those types of videos will still exist, you know? And so, but yeah, the idea of like the industry can be swallowed way quicker. The industry is very bite-sized as to begin with.
Yeah.
And so it's already being swallowed by like TikTok and other tech platforms.
Sure.
And so I guess I'm curious, just like, where is the community gonna go? do you guys think?
Well, it's not on Vimeo anymore,
Yeah.
so that's a
but
shame.
Yeah, where like, is it even on the internet?
I don't know.
Not really. I mean, you could make an argument for Instagram, but I think that is more of a commercial community. I think there's a vibrant commercial community on Instagram, but like, what does that even mean?
I also think the thing that's depressing about Instagram is that people don't watch videos anymore. They just look at stills. Yep. And it's kind of like, I don't know what we got into this for. I really like that. I wish that Video Static would still kind of promote smaller projects, and there were other, I mean, I also really wish film festivals were more invested in music videos as an art form. I think that's a huge oversight, like just from finding and discovering interesting talent, which I feel like that's the point of a film festival. Yep. It's really just South by. Rain Dance got rid of their music video program last year. Did they? Yeah. That sucks. And so it's just really small, and people don't, I think the screenings people are doing at Brain Dead are great. It's a great step forward, but it's still a bit success focused versus discovering new voices focused, which is a bummer. But yeah, I think we could use a lot more curation within our world, because, you know, we have a lot of really amazing talented filmmakers from our community.
Yeah. And also, like, if you look at at film festivals now, the people making the movies are people that we all code as like music video directors. Yep. Right? Like, I was just at Sundance, and like half the movies are people that have done 6 or 10 music videos in the last 5 years, and that like emerged from this space. Like, and in fact, it's downstream, right? Definitely. Like the fact that like Daniels are now getting the level of recognition that like this community has been giving them for 10, 15 years now. You know what I mean? We're
just ahead of the curve.
They were the bells of the Vimeo ball back in the day, and now they're, you know, and so like it's such a weird thing, because they're all just fun and entertaining, and like a music video screening in a theater is super fun because it's like music. Like, dude, like music is incredibly fun.
And also, music videos are just, generally speaking, very inventive, very creative, trying different cinematic techniques, really playing with film form, doing these things that not that many short films really dare to do, honestly, or let alone feature films, because you're not going to be able to get $1.5 million to really make an experimental feature film. You're going to have to fall in line a bit into what is sellable in the marketplace. You know, even indie films are still part of a marketplace where it's like there's 5 or 6 buyers, and you need to make something they're okay with buying. It's not necessarily, and this is also unfortunate, the greatest place for innovation, whereas music videos are still a Wild West where you can do a little bit more innovation. So yeah, it's a curatorial shame that I think programmers should correct. Like, it would be amazing if some of the bigger festivals, if it TIFF, NYFF, Sundance, would just have a music video program like South by, because right now it's actually just South by. I think there isn't another festival that does it.
It is just pretty much
just South by. I feel like it's crazy that there are festivals that revolve around commercial work. Like there's the Cannes Lions, there's
you know, like prestigious,
like super prestigious events that people like ball out to go to for commercials, and it's like, dude, if the music industry had that, that'd be incredible.
Absolutely suck. Yeah. Like, it's almost,
I guess there's like Berlin Music Video Festival. That's like the only
but those
one
are
really.
Still niche, and those
super niche. Yeah,
those are still niche and small, and like not like Oscar qualifying or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it is just like it is so weird. I never understood it. I mean,
I guess UK MVA, we have that. Yeah. That's slightly that's more also, legitimate.
I mean, they either feel like a cash grab or not. But
I think they have a more sensible curation of
who UK MVAs.
I mean, like, look, when Schofield won for that crazy video for duck sauce a couple years ago, I was like, that's sick. Like, that's the thing that would never win at the VMAs, you know, or like in what is considered like traditional like industry recognition. Totally. And I'm like, it's just cool to see a crazy bonkers video get.
I was on the UK MVA jury, and I got half of the animation shortlist, and it was like 88 videos or 90 videos or something like that. And so
That's crazy.
The idea that like over 100 videos are being considered in a category, it just feels like, and there was, I don't want to punch too hard. Like,
no, this is what the podcast for.
It's very important for
it would suck if they didn't exist.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I'm grateful that it exists.
But like I have like, it's it's not how I would curate.
But it's just like, the problem with the UKMVAs is, as awesome as they are and as much as they can create a pathway to commercials, which is what I think they're more designed
That's
to
the
do.
pathway.
Right.
I think it's more that we also deserve a pathway into independent filmmaking, and that's not really being serviced by any film festivals where that would be kind of the next step. So it's like we need both. We need the festivals. I think Berlin Music Videos also is more commercially aligned, and those need to exist. We want those to exist. So many music video directors make money doing commercials. It's essential. It's an essential part of how we can survive. But we also should be more recognized by the independent film and television community because frankly, doing a music video is more similar to directing a television show than making an indie film. And the reason why is that you have to deliver something in a specific time frame. You can't really turn in a 90-minute cut for a 60-minute episode of television. You have to listen to a lot of voices, a lot of creative feedback. We try to all do what we want, but we still could be subject to notes or like the desires of the artist and the label. That's a lot more similar to television than indie film. And we also still have to be creative. And so I think that really what there should be is like a television directing incubator program for music video directors that can shore up all of the things people are insecure about, like teaching, more training, directing actors, like things like that would really benefit the business, because I think we're more well equipped to do that than people realize. And again, it's like, we're always going to use these same examples, but Hiro Murai has really gotten his start in television directing, and he's good at it for a reason, which is that he's had to work under all these constraints before. Daniels have directed tons of television, and I've heard from executives, not from them, that they are some of the only television directors that people have ever worked with where they didn't mess with their director's cut, which is a really big deal in TV because no one's ever turned a director's cut in TV and it not be totally messed with. But they were able to deliver that because they've worked under these pretty like inhumane conditions that happen to be music video directing. So I think it's just not really seeing our value and potential in these other ways that would also give us like more streams of income and opportunity that our very talented community deserves.
I, for one, am going to let them, all my videos on Vimeo are of me. I've never uploaded any of my work. I did some goofy, essentially vines while I worked at Vimeo that are all on my Vimeo account. I'm going to let them crawl. I'm going to try to just like...
Should we just flood all of our Vimeo accounts with
poison
troll videos?
The well. I'm going to try to poison their AI well and make it so that anytime someone tries to generate something with Vimeo AI, it's going to be me in there.
I love that.
Let's
There's
do
just
that.
a Doug bias.
Yeah,
on
just have
every
it be like the
prompt.
ghost of Doug at Vimeo and all of their generative AI. Okay, well, I think we're gonna close with a game. What I think we talked a lot about the kind of like difference between film and television, and the directors and that kind of work in both spaces. So I think what would be fun is to do a draft of directors that have started in music videos and gone into film and television. So we'll do a draft similar to like an NBA draft. So and we're all going to draft five
okay.
each. I'm actually going to sit out, and you guys are going to draft against each other, and then I'm going to determine which team would win in a pickup basketball game.
In a basketball game.
Yeah, it's a basketball game.
Wait, so they're being judged on their ability to play basketball?
They're being judged by there's
down. That's great.
I know.
Their skills as a director.
Okay.
When applied to basketball.
Okay.
So creativity, energy, whatever skill that you think they have as a director, but that is going to translate to basketball. Maegan gets the first pick.
I'm just going to pick Daniels because it's 2 for 1, man.
Yeah,
Cannot.
I think that's a good 2 for 1.
Also, they're good at passing. They're good at sharing. They're going to move the court.
So point guard.
I mean, yeah, I think that it's like
Daniel's that point guard.
Yeah.
Can't. I don't think you get a better pick.
You can't go wrong with that. I mean, I guess on that note, I gotta go with Hero.
He's consistent. He's gonna score a lot. You can put an offense.
I have confidence with him out there on the field.
Guard.
Yeah, in the paint.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Michael Bay because everybody needs a Kobe
great
on
choice.
their team.
Great choice.
Who's gonna figure out a way to win, and you need that on your team.
That's a really good pick. Luke, you're in trouble.
No. I mean, no. Michael Bay's iconic. I think he is gonna do. I'm gonna go with. I am gonna go with Mark Webb. And
ideas.
He's got ideas. He's gonna get creative when we got 10 seconds on the clock and we need to find a way.
Okay.
To get those buckets.
That was a good pick. Okay.
All right. I'm going with Fincher for high basketball IQ.
very solid.
He's gonna be on the court and he's gonna be meticulous and he's gonna see the plays before they're made.
He's yelling at his teammates.
He's gonna know when he's got to get Michael the ball or when he's got to get Daniels the ball to pass.
Yep.
So
Luke, Megan is mopping the floor with you, not only in her picks but also in her understanding of this game.
Backing them up. Yeah.
Like also really getting.
I like my Mark Webb choice.
Really getting. No. Okay. I feel like I don't need to. Yeah.
No, but you're right. You're right. I think. I'm doing a lot of matching. I'm like trying to feel like, okay,
you got to play your own game. What's your strategy here?
Well, I'm just like thinking of like who is a fun director. I don't know about his basketball prowess, but I do feel like a heavyweight is Glazer.
Okay.
Like, I feel like he can really hold his own on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel confident with him on my team.
He's like a center.
Yeah. I mean, because he also like. When I picture him in my head, I picture that he's tall.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's.
I don't
true.
know if he's got a tall energy,
like wingspan. Situation. So okay.
I kind of just need 2 more consistent picks.
Yeah, I would agree. You got a lot of flash already.
Yeah, I have the flash. I have the team playing. I've got the thinking ahead. I'm going to go with Joseph Kahn, not because he's consistently made amazing feature films, but because he's just a consistent filmmaker. He will just be there. He's reliable. You know what you're getting with him. And like, that's kind of what I think my team needs. Yep. Just one of those like...
He'll draw a couple charges. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He'll just do what he's got to do. He definitely also is probably really into blocking. Let's be real. That dude probably loves to block. I need that on my team. He's up there. He's like blocking the shit out of everybody.
For sure. Getting into Glazer's grill.
Yeah. I know exactly. Like real.
And like deserves more feature film shots. Has a really
real
wacky, but he's going.
He was shooting one this past summer.
Nice. Great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. On everyone's radar now. I'm gonna go with Mark Romanek.
Nice. That's good.
I'm gonna go with Mark Romanek. I feel like he likes basketball too. I think he's a bit of a basketball head. I don't know if I'm inventing that, but I think
that makes a lot of sense.
I think I've seen images of him wearing Jordans. I think that he's in the culture in that way.
I'm gonna pick Melina Matsoukas. And then also again, I just feel like
out there for you.
I was hoping for that to be my last one.
Yeah, that's very consistent. So I think like just from a directorial point of view, very talented, very consistent. So, like also very, everyone's, smart, great videos, great transition into film and television.
There's so much team consistency. I feel like because isn't she on Pretty Bird too? So she's got that. Like,
she is on Pretty Bird. Yeah,
my
this is facts.
Are you kidding me?
This is facts.
Just get Candace into coach and like it's a wrap. Luke, you need a lot here. I think you need a little defense, but I think you need scoring too. Like, I don't think you have enough shooting. And so...
You don't think I have enough shooting with Let's go with Gondry. I forgot about Gondry when I said Glazer, or I wanted to say Glazer.
That's a good one.
But Gondry's great. Crazy. Hell yeah, he counts.
Yeah, I do think Gondry makes your team a lot more competitive.
Thank you.
I agree. Music Videos Never Die is brought to you by Anti-Gravity Academy, Lab Inc., OMG Everywhere, and the Internet Music Video Database. It's produced by me, Doug Klinger. It's hosted by me, Doug Klinger, with Luke Orlando. And if you want to listen to more episodes of this podcast, you can find it on mvnd.co, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever your podcasts are found.